You have been living inside a hologram for your entire life. Not as a metaphor, not as some trendy new age idea. Literally. And this is the part almost no one ever talks about. Ancient shamans understood this truth. Buddhist masters taught it in their deepest lineages. Hindu sages built entire philosophical systems around it. Thousands of years before electron microscopes, before quantum computers, before modern laboratories even existed, they had already grasped something that modern physics is only now beginning to confirm. You've tried the manifestation methods. You've practiced visualization. You may have read the books, watched the videos, sat quietly in meditation, wondering why, despite all your effort, reality still feels like something that happens to you instead of something that flows through you. You've achieved things. You've ticked off the boxes society told you would make you fulfilled. And yet, there's that persistent feeling beneath it all. A subtle but constant sense that something essential is missing. Like you're living inside a story written by someone else, following a script you never consciously chose. Here's what you need to hear. You're not crazy, you're not broken, and you're definitely not alone. What you're sensing is real. Because the world you experience as solid, physical, and objective, the so-called real world, is not the foundation of reality at all. It's a projection, a hologram emerging from something far deeper, far more fundamental than matter itself. And the ancient wisdom traditions didn't just know this intellectually. They had practical techniques for working with it, methods for shifting from being a passive observer trapped inside the hologram to becoming the conscious creator of it. This is where things get truly fascinating, because what they discovered wasn't vague mysticism, it was precision, a technology of consciousness, one that modern quantum physicists like David Bohm and Carl Pribram would later validate through mathematics and laboratory experiments. Stay with me here, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why you've felt stuck, why reality seems to push back against your efforts, and exactly how to shift from the role of victim to the role of creator. But first, we need to understand what they actually meant when they said reality is a hologram. Are you ready to go deeper? Let me tell you about a moment that changed everything for me. I was sitting in a library reading about quantum physics, specifically David Bohm's work on the holographic universe. At the same time, I had a translated text of the Upanishads open beside me, and what I noticed stopped me cold. Here's what Bohm, a protege of Einstein and a physicist with impeccable credentials, was saying. Reality has two orders. The implicate order, an invisible, folded dimension where everything exists as pure potential. And the explicate order, the unfolded, manifest world of objects, separation, and form the world we experience through our senses. Now here's what stunned me. The Upanishads, written more than 2,500 years ago, describe reality in almost the exact same way. They speak of Brahman, the ultimate, unchanging, unified field of consciousness, and Maya, the world of appearance, illusion, and temporary forms that seem separate, but are actually projections of a deeper unity. Different words, same truth. And this wasn't coincidence. When I started digging deeper, I found the same teaching echoed everywhere, in Tibetan Buddhism, in shamanic traditions from Australia to the Americas, in Hermetic philosophy, in Taoism, These weren't competing belief systems. They were independent discoveries of the same fundamental truth about the structure of reality. Here's the paradox that makes this so powerful. Modern science, with all its advanced instruments and equations, didn't even begin approaching this understanding until the 1970s. Meanwhile, a yogi sitting in a cave in 11th century Tibet already knew it. Aboriginal shamans had been teaching it for over 40,000 years. Hindu sages encoded it in the Vedas millennia before Christ. They didn't have particle accelerators. They didn't have brain scanning machines. What they had was something we've largely forgotten: direct access to the implicate order through consciousness itself. And here's where this becomes deeply relevant for you. These weren't just philosophers contemplating abstract ideas. They were practitioners. They developed precise techniques, meditation practices, visualization methods, perceptual shifts that allowed them to interact with reality at the implicate level, to reshape the hologram from the inside out. Tibetan yogis like Milarepa were said to manifest food and water in the wilderness. Shamans healed disease by working with what they called the web of connection. Hindu siddhas demonstrated abilities that seemed to violate the laws of physics, but only if you assume the explicate order is all that exists. They weren't breaking the rules. They were operating by a deeper set of rules that most people don't even know are there. So here's the real question. What if you could learn those rules? What if you could access the same technology of consciousness? That's exactly what we're going to explore. But first, we need to understand the foundation. We need to understand what they truly meant when they said, reality is a hologram. Let's step into the implicate order. Here's what David Bohm discovered that shook the foundations of physics. While studying electron behavior in plasma, a superheated state of matter, he observed something that shouldn't have been possible under classical physics. The electrons weren't acting like independent particles. They behaved as if they were part of a larger, unified system, connected by an invisible web of information. Bohm called this undivided wholeness in flowing movement. And instead of stopping at observation, he asked a radical question. What if separation itself is the illusion? What if unity is the true nature of reality, and what we perceive as separate objects is only a secondary effect? This led him to propose two orders of reality. The implicate order. Think of it like the ocean. Everything within it is made of water. Waves rise and fall, but they are never separate from the ocean. They are temporary expressions of it. The wave is simply the ocean taking form for a moment, then dissolving back into the whole. Then there's the explicate order. This is the world of waves. The world where things appear separate and distinct. Where you seem to be here, I seem to be there, walls feel solid, and time appears to move in one direction. But here's the key insight. Bohm mathematically demonstrated that the explicate order is what he called a second-generation reality. It emerges from something deeper. It is not the source. It is not the ground floor. The implicate order is. And now watch how this connects back to ancient wisdom. Hindu philosophy describes this exact same structure. They call the implicate order Brahman, the unchanging, eternal, unified field of consciousness that underlies all existence. This is what Hindu philosophy calls Brahman. Everything that exists is Brahman temporarily appearing as something else. and the explicate order of the world. We experience, they call Maya. This word is often mistranslated as illusion, but that translation misses the depth of what it actually means. Maya isn't saying the world doesn't exist. Its meaning is far more subtle. Maya is the veiling and projecting power of consciousness itself. The world of separate objects isn't unreal, it's just not ultimate. It's a projection emerging from something deeper, more fundamental, more real. Think of it this way. Imagine a movie screen. The images on the screen appear real. They move. They interact. They seem to have their own independent existence. But you know those images are projections coming from a source, a film projector, that exists on an entirely different level of reality than the screen itself. You wouldn't say the images aren't real, but you also wouldn't say they're ultimately real. They're contingent, they're derivative, they're second-generation reality. That's Maya. That's the explicate order. And here's what this means for you in practical terms. Most people live entirely within the projected reality. They focus only on the screen. They try to manipulate the images on the screen to get the outcomes they want. They push, they force, they struggle, they effort. They try to rearrange the explicate order from within the explicate order itself. But this is what the masters understood. The real power is not in manipulating the projection. The real power is in accessing the projector. When you operate from the implicate level, when you work directly with consciousness itself instead of just the objects consciousness is projecting, you're no longer trying to force reality to change. You're changing the source code that generates reality in the first place. This is why visualization works when it truly works. This is why intention can shift outcomes. This is why consciousness appears to influence matter in quantum experiments. You're not breaking the laws of physics. You're operating from a level where those laws emerge from something deeper, consciousness itself. But here's where most people get stuck. They hear this and think, okay, so I just need to visualize harder, think more positive thoughts, repeat affirmations with more intensity. No, that's still operating entirely from the explicate order. That's still using the conditioned, surface-level mind to try to force change. What the ancients taught was far more refined and far more powerful. Tibetan Buddhism speaks of the void, the implicate order, as the birthplace of all things, existing in boundless flux. They say only the void is ultimately real, while forms in the explicate order are illusory. But here's the paradox Western minds often miss. They also teach that despite its illusory nature, the non-void contains an infinitely vast and complex network of universes. It's not that the physical world doesn't matter. It's that it isn't ultimate. It isn't foundational. And when you truly understand this, not just intellectually, but experientially, everything shifts, because you realize you're not a separate self trying to manifest something from outside yourself. You are consciousness at the implicate level, projecting into the explicate. You're not trying to get something. You're remembering that you are the source of everything. Shall we go deeper? Let me share something that took me years to truly grasp. When Hindu philosophy says the world is Maya, most Westerners hear, the world is fake. Like we're trapped in a simulation and none of this matters. That's not what they're saying. Not even close. Here's the actual teaching, and it's far more nuanced and far more useful. Maya has two functions, veiling and projecting. This distinction is crucial. The veiling power means that consciousness, which is inherently unified, appears divided. The infinite appears finite. The eternal appears temporary. The one appears as many. But this veiling isn't evil. It's not a punishment. It's more like consciousness playing hide and seek with itself, the universe exploring what it's like to forget its unity and believe in separation. The projecting power is what generates the entire manifest world. Every atom, every star, every thought, every emotion, all of it is consciousness projecting itself into form. And here's what almost no one tells you. You are both the consciousness doing the projecting and the projection itself. Think about your dreams. When you dream, you create an entire world. You populate it with people, places, and situations. Those dream characters feel independent. They seem to have their own will. But when you wake up, you realize it was all your consciousness projecting itself into temporary forms. The ancient masters are saying waking life works the same way, just more stable, more persistent, and more collectively shared. Here's where this becomes practical. Most people are completely identified with the projection. They believe they are the character in the dream. They've forgotten they're the dreamer. And when you identify only with the projection, you're subject to all the limitations of Maya. You believe you're separate. You believe you're powerless. You believe reality is something happening to you. This is what's called the conditioned mind. The Tibetan yogi Milarepa described it perfectly. He said the unconscious mind is too conditioned in its perceptions to recognize the boundary between mind and matter. It can't perceive the frequency domain where mind and matter are one. Zen Buddhism points to the same truth in a different way. It speaks about mistaking the indivisible nature of reality for the conceptual pigeonholes created by language. We use words to divide reality, self and other, inside and outside, mind and matter, good and bad. But reality itself doesn't contain these divisions. They're overlays. They're products of Maya's veiling function, creating the appearance of separation where none actually exists. And here's what this means for your life right now. That feeling of being stuck, that sense that you're trying to manifest something but it keeps not working, that experience of reality feeling resistant to your intentions. It's not that you're bad at manifestation. It's not that you're doing something wrong. It's not that the universe is against you. It's not that you're cursed, unlucky, or somehow unworthy. The real issue is far more subtle than that. You're trying to manifest from within the veil. You're using the conditioned, conceptual mind, the mind that believes in separation, to try to create unity, connection, and flow. It's like trying to measure something perfectly straight with a ruler that's already bent. The tool itself is distorted by the veil of Maya, so no matter how hard you try, the results always feel inconsistent, fragile, or temporary. So what's the solution? Across ancient traditions, the answer is the same, even though the language differs. Hindus call it seeing through Maya. Buddhists call it perfect seeing or contemplative insight. Shamans call it remembering the dream time. But they're all pointing to the same inner shift, moving your identity from the projection back to the projector, from the wave back to the ocean, from the character in the dream back to the dreamer. And here's what's truly revolutionary about this. You don't need to go anywhere. You don't need to become something new. You don't need to acquire special powers or secret knowledge from outside yourself. Because here's the secret hiding in plain sight. You are already the projector. You are already consciousness at the implicate level. You're already the ocean pretending to be a wave. The work is not to become enlightened. The work is to remember what you've always been. Now you might be asking, okay, but how? How do I actually do this? How do I see through the veil? And that's exactly what we're moving toward. But before we do, there's another piece of the puzzle we need to understand. The piece that makes everything click into place. We need to talk about interconnection, about what shamans call the web, and what quantum physics calls nan-locality. Because here's what changes everything. You're not just consciousness, projecting a personal reality. You are consciousness interconnected with all other. Consciousness in a web so intimate that the part literally is the whole. Let me show you what I mean. This is where reality becomes beautifully, almost impossibly strange. There's a metaphor found in both Hindu and Buddhist philosophy called Indra's net. Imagine an infinite web extending endlessly in all directions. At every intersection of this web, there is a multifaceted jewel, and each jewel reflects every other jewel in the net. So when you look into a single jewel, you see the reflection of all the others. And within each reflection, you see all the reflections again, endlessly, infinitely. Each part contains the whole. Each point reflects all other points. Now here's what almost no one tells you. This isn't poetry. This isn't mystical symbolism. This is a precise description of the holographic structure of reality. Carl Pribram, a neuroscientist at Stanford, made a groundbreaking discovery while studying memory and brain function. He found that memories are not stored in specific locations in the brain. Instead, they're distributed holographically throughout the entire brain. You can remove large portions of the brain and memories don't disappear. They simply become less clear, less detailed, because each part of the brain contains information about the whole. Exactly like Indra's net. David Bohm took this insight even further. He proposed that the entire universe operates Every region of space contains information about the whole universe. The part is literally the whole folded into a smaller space. And here's the astonishing part. Shamans knew this thousands of years ago without neuroscience, without quantum equations, without modern instruments. Black Elk, the Lakota holy man, had a vision in which he was taken to Harney Peak in the Black Hills. He was told that this place was the center of the world. But later, he clarified something profound. He said, anywhere is the center of the world. Anywhere is the center. Let that sink in. The ancient Greek philosopher Empedocles expressed the same insight when he said, God is a circle whose center is everywhere and whose circumference is nowhere. The Hermetic tradition captured it with the phrase, as above, so below. The macrocosm is reflected in the microcosm. What is true at the largest scale is also true at the smallest. The Hindu Visvasara Tantra states it even more directly. What is here is elsewhere. What is not here is nowhere. Different cultures, different eras, same realization, and here's what this means for you. Practically, powerfully, immediately. You are not a tiny, isolated fragment of consciousness struggling to manipulate a reality outside yourself. You are the center of the web. From your perspective, from your point of awareness, the entire universe unfolds. Every thread in the web touches you, connects to you, interpenetrates you. This is why shamans could stand at the center of the web and influence healing across vast distances. Why they could affect weather, communicate with animals, work with plants and ecosystems. They weren't breaking natural law. They were operating from a deeper understanding of natural law, the law of interconnection, the law that says the part is the whole. This is why synchronicity happens. Why you think of someone and they call. Why you need something and it appears. Why your internal state shifts and suddenly external circumstances rearrange themselves to match. Not because you're manifesting from separation, but because you are the web. When you shift, the entire web shifts, because you were never separate from it. But this is where most people get tripped up, and this is crucial. They hear this teaching, and the conditioned mind immediately tries to possess it, to claim it, to use it for personal gain. Great, I'm the center of the universe. That means I can get whatever I want. No, that's still separation. That's still the ego, the false sense of an isolated self, trying to manipulate reality. Here's what the masters understood. And this is the key that changes everything. When you truly see yourself at the center of the web, you also see that everyone else is at the center of the web. Every point is the center. Every consciousness is the whole. This isn't about inflating the ego. It's about dissolving the ego into the recognition of radical unity. The Aboriginal peoples of Australia teach that true consciousness doesn't actually reside in the body. It exists in what they call the dream time, a transcendent reality that underlies and permeates the physical world. According to their wisdom, beneath all visible forms, there exists a vital essence from which everything emerges, and that essence is not personal. It is shared. It is universal. It is one. When you connect with that vital essence, when you drop below the level of conceptual thought, below the conditioned mind, into direct experience of the implicate order, something remarkable happens. You stop trying to manifest from need. You stop creating from lack. You stop operating from the belief that you are separate from what you desire. Instead, you recognize something profound. You and the thing you desire are not separate at all. You are both waves in the same ocean, both projections from the same source. And in that recognition, separation dissolves. Resistance dissolves. Manifestation happens, not because you forced it, not because you tried harder, but because you remembered the unity that was always there. Are you starting to see how radically different this is from conventional manifestation teachings? Now let's go deeper, because this is the part that explains why you've been stuck. Why, despite knowing all this spiritual wisdom, despite understanding the concepts, reality still feels like it's pushing back against you. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Your conscious mind, the part of you listening right now, the part that sets intentions, repeats affirmations, creates vision boards, is not the part creating your reality. The real creator is the unconscious mind, the deeply conditioned patterns buried so far below awareness that you don't even realize. They're operating. These are the beliefs you absorbed before you could speak. The traumas encoded into your nervous system. The cultural programming running silently on autopilot. Milarepa, the great Tibetan yogi, said it plainly. He said the unconscious mind is far too conditioned in its perceptions to recognize the boundary between mind and matter. Let me explain why this matters. At the implicate level, at the quantum level, at the frequency domain, there is no hard boundary between mind and matter. They arise from the same unified field. But the conditioned unconscious doesn't perceive that unity. It sees separation everywhere. It sees you here and the world out there, mind inside, matter outside. And here's the critical part. It creates reality from that perception of separation. Think about this. You consciously affirm, I am abundant. Money flows to me easily. But buried deep in your unconscious is a belief formed in childhood. Money is scarce. Wealthy people are greedy. I don't deserve abundance. Which belief do you think is actually generating your financial reality? The unconscious? Every time, because the unconscious operates at the implicate level, the level where the projection is generated. The conscious mind operates at the explicate level, the level of the already projected world. You're trying to rearrange furniture in a room while the unconscious is still drawing the blueprint for the entire house. This is why traditional manifestation techniques fail for most people. They're attempting to override deep unconscious conditioning with surface-level intention. It's like trying to steer a ship by repainting the hull. Zen Buddhism understood this clearly. They warned about confusing the indivisible nature of reality with what they called conceptual pigeonholes. These are the categories created by language. When you label something good or bad, you're creating division where reality itself has none. When you say, I want this, you're creating separation between you and the thing you want. The very act of wanting reinforces lack. The very act of trying reinforces struggle, and the unconscious absorbs all of it. It creates from it. It manifests from it, so you end up trapped in an exhausting loop, wanting, trying, failing, wanting harder, trying harder, failing harder, while the unconscious faithfully produces a reality that matches its conditioning. Now here's the part almost nobody talks about, and this is where it becomes both uncomfortable and liberating. It's not your fault. Didn't consciously choose most of your conditioning. You absorbed it from parents, from culture, from trauma, from the collective unconscious of humanity itself. The Lakota medicine man, Lame Deer, described this with heartbreaking clarity. He said modern human beings have forgotten the secret knowledge of their bodies, their senses, their dreams. They don't use their brains. They've forgotten the secret knowledge the spirit placed within them. And because they're unaware of this, they stumble blindly down a road to nowhere, a paved highway they bulldoze themselves, rushing faster and faster toward a vast empty hole waiting to swallow them at the end. That's the conditioned mind, bulldozing a highway to nowhere, convinced it's making progress. But here's the radical shift that changes everything. The moment you see the conditioning, it begins to lose its power. The moment you recognize the unconscious patterns running your life, they start to dissolve. This is what the Hindus call seeing through Maya. This is what Buddhists call perfect seeing and contemplation. It's not about gaining new knowledge. It's about seeing directly, without concepts, without labels, without the veil of language, into the nature of your own mind. And when you truly see how the conditioned unconscious has been creating your reality, something extraordinary happens. You stop fighting reality. You stop trying to force outcomes. You stop white-knuckling manifestation techniques. Instead, you begin healing, deconditioning, returning to the natural state of consciousness that existed before all the programming. The Aboriginal peoples call this returning to the dream time. The Hindus call it recognizing Brahman. The Buddhists call it awakening to your Buddha nature. Different names. Same realization. Remembering what you were before you forgot. Returning to the source. Coming home to the implicate order. And from that place, everything shifts. Not because you're forcing change, but because the source code generating your reality has changed. So here's my question for you, and I want you to really sit with this. What patterns are running in your unconscious right now? What beliefs about yourself, about reality, about what's possible? Which beliefs are so deep you don't even recognize them as beliefs anymore? You just experience them as the way things are. Because those beliefs, those are the projector creating your hologram. And if you want to change the hologram, you need to change the projector. Let's talk about how. Now, let's bring this all together. Because if you've stayed with me this far, you're ready for the complete picture. Here's what we know now. Reality has two orders. The implicate order, the unified field of consciousness from which everything emerges, and the explicate order, the projected world of separate forms. You are not a separate self, living inside the explicate order, trying to manifest things from outside yourself. You are consciousness at the implicate level, projecting into the explicate. The ocean temporarily pretending to be a wave. The world of forms, everything you see, touch, and experience is Maya, not fake, not meaningless, but not ultimate, not foundational. It is the hologram, not the source. And this hologram operates according to a principle of radical interconnection. You are the center of the web, and so is everyone else. Every point contains the whole. The part is the whole. This is why changing your consciousness changes your reality. Not through magical thinking, not through wishful belief, but because consciousness itself is the source of reality. When you shift the implicate order, the explicate order reconfigures to match. But here's the crucial piece most people miss. Most of what you call manifestation is not happening from your conscious mind. It's happening from your unconscious, from patterns so deep, so automatic, that you don't even realize they're running. You're like someone sitting in the driver's seat of a car, thinking you're in control, while someone else has their hands on the steering wheel. The conscious mind believes it's directing the journey. The unconscious is actually determining where you go. So this brings us to the ultimate question. The question every wisdom tradition eventually points toward. How do you access the implicate level directly? How do you move from unconscious conditioning to conscious creation? The answer is simpler than you expect and far more profound. You stop trying. I know that sounds paradoxical. Stay with me. Every effort, every strain, every attempt to force reality to be different than it is, all of that comes from the conditioned mind. The mind that believes in separation. The mind that thinks you are here and what you want is somewhere else. The Tao Te Ching says it perfectly. The master does nothing, yet leaves nothing undone. This is not passivity. This is not giving up. This is surrendering the illusion of a separate self, trying to control reality, and instead, aligning with the flow of the implicate order itself. The shamans understood this. They didn't force healing. They aligned with the web of connection and allowed healing to move through them. The yogis understood this. They didn't strain to achieve enlightenment. They relaxed into the recognition of what was always already true. Mystics across every tradition understood this. They called it surrender, alignment, flow, wu, way, letting go, letting God. Different words, same realization. And here's the key insight that changes everything. This is not about becoming passive. It's about becoming responsive instead of reactive, creating from the center instead of from fear, acting from wholeness instead of from lack. And when you truly live from this place, manifestation stops being something you force. It becomes something that unfolds naturally, precisely, elegantly. Because you're no longer trying to manipulate the hologram. You're remembering that you are the hologram. You're remembering that you're the dreamer, not just the dream. From that place, everything becomes possible. So, are you ready for the final piece? Let me tell you what you are, not as a concept, not as philosophy, but as truth. You are not a biological accident wandering through a meaningless universe, hoping to get lucky, hoping that if you try hard enough, think positively enough, visualize clearly enough, you might receive a few crumbs of the life you desire. That story, that's the veil. That's Maya's final and most convincing trick, making consciousness forget itself and believe it's a powerless, separate fragment. Here's what you actually are. You are consciousness itself, having a temporary human experience. You are the implicate order projecting into the You are the ocean playing at being a wave. You are the dreamer dreaming the dream. And from your point of awareness, from your center of consciousness, the entire universe unfolds. Not because you're special, but because every point is the center. Every consciousness is the whole. The ancient wisdom traditions knew this. Quantum physics is now confirming it. And somewhere deep inside you, beneath the conditioning, beneath the concepts, beneath the fear, you've always known it too. That feeling you've had your entire life. That quiet sense that there's something more, something deeper, something you've forgotten. That's not a desire for something you need to acquire. That's the memory of what you've always been calling you home. So here's my invitation to you, not a command, not a rule. An invitation: stop fighting reality. Stop trying to force the hologram to change from the level of the hologram. Instead, go deeper, beneath the thoughts, beneath the conditioning, beneath the conceptual mind that divides reality into pieces. Go to the implicate order, to the dream, to the source, to the vital essence from which all forms emerge. And from there, from that place of unity, wholeness and infinite potential, allow your reality to unfold. Not because you forced it, but because you remembered who you are. You are not separate from the universe. You are the universe, knowing itself through the unique perspective of your consciousness. And that changes everything now. This is episode 26 of the Beyond Reality series. And here's where things get truly fascinating. Everything we explored today, the implicate order, the hologram, the web of connection, was demonstrated in a precise, elegant way more than 1,000 years ago. A demonstration so exact that when you see it, you'll understand why modern physicists are only now catching up to what the ancients already knew. In episode 27, I'm going to show you exactly what that demonstration was, and more importantly, how you can experience this holographic nature of reality for yourself, not as theory, as direct experience. If something in this resonated, if you felt that spark of recognition, drop one word in the comments that captures your energy right now. I read every single one. The full Beyond Reality playlist and episode 27 are linked in the description below. And until then, remember this: anywhere is the center of the world, including exactly where you are right now. See you in the next one.